Alright, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what it is. We got the one, the only, the legendary West Coast Cam. He is in the building. How are you doing this evening?
Man, I'm good now. Then I'm online with my bro, DJ.
Hey, man.
Brother on the building.
I gotta say, Cam, man, you know what I mean? I've been, like I told you before we got on the air, I've been a fan for a long time, man. So this, truthfully, is an honor for me, you know? I used to bump your records back in the day, so truthfully, a dream come true for me, most definitely.
Man, it's my honor, my pleasure, man. Was good on that side of the water, man. On that side of the border, I should say.
It's doing not bad. You know, we're with the COVID-19 situation going on. You know, I think everybody is just trying to you just stay positive with the current world situations. We're forced to wear masks everywhere we go, but other than that, by the looks of it, we're starting to nip coronavirus in the butt. So hopefully soon, you know what I mean, the borders will open back up and we can have artists like yourself come back over and do some amazing shows. Because I'm in need of a concert, man. It's been way too long.
right. That sounds like me. Yeah, let's get it.
I gotta ask you though, Cam, like taking you back to the just way back, back when times were very much simpler for everybody, man. But I gotta ask you, what made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
I was a fan, and it was just a hobby, a hood neighborhood hobby. Like we used to do neighborhood raps when Run DMC and LL Cool J and all that came out. So we just substitute some of their lyrics for our neighborhood homies or some street stuff. So that was something almost everybody did in the hood, and I guess that was the birth of the West Coast mixtapes. Because we really just made tapes for the homies in the neighborhood or just for our own neighborhood to clown. And it wasn't until maybe I guess NWA, I guess around NWA when we saw that they was actually making money with it and going doing shows, and we saw them buying new little cars and Suzuki Jeeps and Nissan trucks. Like, oh, okay, so we really can do this for money. So most of us was the communities was selling dope anyway, so we weren't really tripping on trying to rap for money. But once they start cracking down on the dope thing, then we really start looking towards toward the rap for a career instead of a hobby.
And also, your first appearance on a record was actually with the song Every Single Weekend on the 1991 soundtrack for Boys in the Hood. I have to ask you, how does it feel to actually be a part of that soundtrack? And especially, that movie was really huge within the 90s. So how does it feel to actually have your very first appearance just on a major motion picture soundtrack?
Man, I mean, I got to give it up to Q. He put me on. Shout out to Q. He put me on in the music game. On that level, straight out the box, straight out the neighborhood, and I put him on the brotherhood game. As far as black consciousness and the stuff that was going on at that time. So it was a fair exchange and no robbery. That's why our team was real strong.
Most definitely, man. I gotta say, that movie is still relevant today with the contents in that movie. Most definitely in the top 5 movies of all time, in my opinion.
Oh, yes. Cult classic. It's definitely a classic. And actually, my first appearance was right before that. It was actually on Death Certificate. I think that was Death Certificate, Cube's album on a song called Colorblind.
I gotta say my apologies. I should have known that because I remember that was actually 1991 on Priority Records.
Right.
And also, aside from the music side, aside of you being a performer, you also were a writer for some songs as well. I also noticed while doing my research for this interview that you actually did some ghostwriting for Yo-Yo on her Black Pearl record on the track A Few Good Men. I have to ask you, what was it like actually working with Yo-Yo and actually just writing that song with her?
Man, the way people look at celebrities and rap stars now is different, but us, back then and even now, I never bought into the celebrity personality thing. Like we were just homies. Everybody's just homies. Everybody, it just so happened that other people start worshiping you. Once you get on radio or you get on television or movies or whatever, then they look at you bigger than life. But we looked at each other like, that's just Cam, that's just Yo-Yo, that's just Q, you know what I'm saying? So it was nothing to us. We still look at each other like that.
And that's really cool. Like Yo-Yo, she's still doing her thing after 30 plus years as well, man. She's actually, I think she just dropped some work with the Chill of Compton's Most Wanted recently.
Yeah. Also, I got a single with Chill. Also, me and Corrupt, me, Chill, and Corrupt that Battle Cat produced. Me and Battle Cat got a whole album that we just did. Yeah.
And that's actually really cool. If you don't mind me asking, like, where can our listeners actually snag themselves a copy of that record? Actually, just while we're on the topic.
Say that one more time. I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I was going to ask, while we're on the topic of that record with yourself and Chill and Corrupt, where can our listeners actually snag themselves a copy?
Oh, it's not even released yet. We shot the video maybe about 5 months ago, right when the COVID quarantine things happened, and that shut everything down. And I literally just got the video footage and files and all that back like last week. So um, we edited up the video and all of that. So we gonna release that at the same time, the video and the single at the same time. It's been leaked out, like the DJ pools or whatever. So you probably can hear it, with, on a lot of these DJ pool record pools or whatever. But as far as available for download, it's not. We haven't even released it yet.
Yeah, MJ actually, she sent me two new tracks today via email, and I placed it in the station's
All right.
rotation. I gotta say, people have been calling the station, Cam, actually requesting your new songs. They were loving it, so they were calling in wanting to hear it again. And I told them you gotta wait about 5-10 minutes, man. You know what I mean? I don't want to. You know what I mean? Everybody loves it, but you gotta wait about 5-10 minutes. I can't play them back to back, right?
So.
You know. But also, you actually own your own record label as well, called Hereafter Records. I have to ask you, what made you decide to start your own record label, and who is currently signed to you right now?
I'll answer the last part first. I'm right now the only artist because I tried that. I've been having my label for maybe about 15 years, at least 10-15 years, and so much goes into having a label and trying to be serious. You turn into an artist developer and a manager and a babysitter and all kind of other stuff. And that combined with kind of the controversial history that I got. That a lot of people apprehensive. About even what is Cam going to be on? What is he going to be talking about? And fortunately, yet unfortunately, our current president made Cam's content kind of look like Will Smith. so now what I talk about is more of a balance now, even though it's controversial and it's highly emotional, and it's dealing with the societal ills, especially racism and stuff like that, police brutality. But it's a big demand for it right now, and fortunately, we able to kind of fill that void and balance that out. So it's a good thing.
And also going back into the timeline a little bit, I've also noticed as well that you actually worked with George Clinton on his record "Hey Man, Smell My Finger." I have to ask you, like, what was it like working with George Clinton? And in a way, because that's kind of like funk and soul type music. Was it
Right.
difficult actually, kind of like going from like the hip hop genre to like funk and soul with him?
Well, no, because West Coast hip hop was always funk. Parliament, George Clinton, funkadelic samples, and oriented all. Anyway, like so, the West Coast was more funk. East Coast was more jazz, so that was a natural connection with George Clinton. And the record that we worked on actually was called "Paint the White House Black." You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of ironic also. But George Clinton is my uncle, a godfather, a friend, a counselor. Beautiful. He's been through his own personal struggles with his demons, and he's clean and healthy right now, so that was a blessing. The same also goes with Uncle Charlie Wilson, because I did a record with him a while back on DJ Pooh's Bad News Travel Fast, a record with him, Roger Troutman, rest in peace, Shirley Murdoch, and myself called No Idea. You Have No Idea, and those are the same artists that was on Computer Loves, so that was big too.
And with George Clinton's "Paint the White House Black," I think I remember that song was about like 6 or 7 minutes long,
Right.
man. It was a long song, but it was actually a phenomenal track at that.
Right. It was like various artists on it. It was like 4 or 5 different artists. Cube was on there. Yo-Yo was on there. I think Poopa Curly and MC Breed, rest in peace. Myself, and I forgot maybe 1 or 2 others. But yeah, that was a fun and a big and a conscious and a relevant record even today.
And also, in the same year of '93, you actually released your debut album titled Never Again. I have to ask you, what's the story behind that amazing record? Because that's personally one of my absolute favorites of yours.
Oh yeah, that was a classic album, and of course that was a takeoff from the suffering that the Jewish community been through, because of the Holocaust under Hitler, and that was their mantra was never again. And of course, black people in America with 400 years of slavery and Jim Crow and oppression and all that, we had that history, on steroids. So as successful as have studied and seen that the Jewish community was able to get together and make sure that never happened to them again, that was inspiration for my subject, to try to translate that to the black communities in the hoods and the Bloods and Crips or whatever, that we need to adopt that same mantra and that same formula. So that was where that title came from, and the song content on that album.
And if you want me to ask, pertaining to that record, like, how does it feel like just knowing today that people are still purchasing that record? Because I know for a fact, man, like, that album has sold a shitload of copies. Excuse my language.
Can we cuss? I didn't know we could cuss.
Well, most definitely, we're actually we're an uncensored station. It's just
Oh,
me personally as an
all right.
interviewer, I just find it's unprofessional for me to curse as an interviewer. So.
Right, yeah, no, but it's a beautiful thing, because that's what we're here for. Life is short, and we want to. At least me, I want to do something that's going to live longer than me, and that's going to positively affect the people, and hopefully leave the world in a better condition, even consciously, than how it was when I found it. So just progress, just something that I hope that I can positively affect people with. So that's a blessing, man.
And also, one of my absolute favorite collaborations of yours is actually with LV of the South Central Cartel. You guys did a song titled "Throw Your Hands Up," the Cam version. Which they also did
Yeah.
a Tretch version as well. But I have to ask you, what was it like working with LV of the SCC, and how did you guys get connected?
Man, like I said, everybody that y'all might look at as celebrities, from LV to Snoop to DJ Quick to Cube, they was just homies to us. We were just homies, and we was in the same community, same city, and I had this talent, he had that talent, she had that talent, and we just get together, we hang out, and in the studio, and we just make records. So, like you said, that record, the Throw Your Hands Up record, that was like a spinoff. I had just done the B-side single for Peace Treaty, my first single, which was the Bloods and Crips. The B-side song for that was a song called Y'all Don't Hear Me Though, and it was to that same sample, to that Bounce Rock Skate sample. So he was like, "Man, I got to get you on there, Cam." I was like, "Man, I got to get on there. I got Trench on there right now." I was like, "That's cool. I'll do a C-side or something. That he can be the man when I'll be the backup single." So that's how we did that. We laughed it off. But whenever Trench is in town, he do his version, and whenever Trench was gone, or he know where to be found, I do my version.
That's actually really cool, you know what I mean? And I gotta say, like, LV is a phenomenal individual and a phenomenal singer as well, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
His voice can make God cry.
Yeah, that's that Gangsta's Paradise, him and Coolio. That's how you got I'm sure he got a Grammy or something for that. So yeah, LV is my dude, man.
And I have to ask you, do you guys plan on doing any more work, like, in the future, or is it kind of just like you guys is doing your own separate things nowadays?
No, we always want to do work. That's the whole nature of our brotherhood and our bond in our community. It's just we life takes its toll. People are really going through real stuff, especially during this COVID. But and then just the politics of the music industry, because unfortunately a lot of in the hip hop, they try to date artists and make them seem like this is a young man's sport, instead of once you get in your 40s or your 50s or whatever, that they're not really checking for you. So we got to change that narrative. We got to make sure we come together and prove that we can tour like the Rolling Stones or whoever else off into the 60s and 70s.
And also, when you brought up Snoop Dogg a few minutes ago, you were also a member of the West Coast supergroup, the Warzone. I have to ask you, how did you get connected with the Warzone? And of course, what was it like just being a part of that supergroup?
Same story. Just those are the homies. Like MC8, he two or 3 miles away from my neighborhood in Compton. Snoop, of course, we all used to kick it during the Death Row days. We was never really able to do do work back then just because of the label politics, but once that kind of dissolved and everybody kind of grew up some more and got freed, and me and Snoop used to always kick it. You know, I wrote a few records for him and for Dre that you know wasn't that didn't get used because it was it was a little too hot, too potent. But then I wound up linking with Snoop on his East Side. On the East Side is album, the first East Siders album. We went on Soul Train and did a couple of the singles or whatever. And then even up to recently, last year, when Nipsey, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle passed, we got together and I wrote the dedication song for Snoop, that One Blood, One Cuz. So I was able to write that one for him. So we've been doing a lot of work over the years.
That's actually really cool. I didn't know that was actually you that wrote One Blood, One Cuz. It's actually, you did some phenomenal work on that, Cam.
Man, thank you.
And I also got to say, notice, as well as from away from your music side of things, you also have your own podcast called The Campaign. I have to ask you, tell us a bit more about that, and of course, where can our listeners actually listen to The Campaign and check you out on the radio?
Well, actually, we're just building up episodes because we've been kind of bouncing around looking for a home. I'm my official home is with Soapbox ish. Oh my God! So yeah, Digital Soapbox. God, yeah. So that's my homie with Doggy Diamond over there, and my bro Big Steel. That's the same podcast that they do with Mob James and Reg. I forgot the name of the show that. Damn, it'll come to me. But so yeah, but we've been building episodes up and putting different content ideas together. So we probably gonna release that. Like I said, the COVID shut everything down, so we probably start releasing episodes the beginning of next month, beginning of October, and that'll be you can look a little more deeper into it on my website, which is westcoastcam.com. So we updating that right now.
And do you plan on doing like interviews at all, or is it kind of more just like a talk radio show, if you don't mind me asking?
Mostly talk radio, but since naturally I have a lot of industry peers, I'm definitely gonna be tapping them at their convenience to come talk about real potent, sensitive subjects. Cause my whole thing is I like to talk about the taboo subjects, the ones that everybody else is scared to talk about. So mine is the elephant in the room, taboo. Content. So those that got, that's free enough or that's, courageous enough to talk that talk, those are the ones that's going to be on the air with me.
Hey, someone has to talk about it, Cam. Someone most definitely has to.
Yeah, man. Especially now.
And also, like, aside from, music and your podcast, you are also an author as well. You also wrote a book titled War in Your Own Heaven. I have to ask you, what's the story behind that book? And, of course, where can our listeners actually buy or get themselves a copy if you have hard copies or digital?
Yeah, I got the hard copies and e-copies. You can get them on my website, which is westcoastcam.com, West Coast Cam, and it's actually a relationship book. Out of all things I could be, wrote my first book about. It's not hip-hop, it's not street stuff, it's not religion, it's actually a relationship. So War in Your Heaven is the subtitle is the black man's relationship problems with his black woman today and the feared solution. So it's dealing with the problems between black men and women in North America, the descendants of slaves, and some of the traumas and issues and hurdles that we have to deal with to even try to stay together as a family. So it's real. It's a shortage out here because of, like I said, if you look at the news and you see all of the killings and the police killings and brutalities and the mass incarceration rates and the diseases and it's so much stuff that's caused a great imbalance between the man and woman over here. So we need sort of a handbook just to try to navigate through day-to-day relationship with each other and stay friends instead of look at each other as enemies.
And if you don't mind me asking, do you ever plan on writing another book, or is right now, the author Cam, is he kind of taking a break from books?
I plan on writing a lot more. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna write about. My passion is family, and and like I said, the taboo subjects. I really talk about the taboo subjects that nobody else want to talk about. Whether it could be uh, abortion or being molested as a child, or you know, uh, 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 sexual issues and orientations, and just the stuff that everybody is scared to touch. I'm very politically incorrect.
And also, I noticed that you were. Sorry, I also noticed that you were working on a brand new album called The Self. I have to ask you, what can we expect from that album, and what's the estimated release date for that?
Oh man, that might not be here until the top of the year, and it started out being the self, because that's everybody's best friend or greatest enemy. No matter what, the ills and the problems that we have. Of course, we have external clear issues, but in most cases, our biggest problem and our biggest enemy is our own ignorance or our own weakness to deal with what we know we should deal with in a timely fashion. So, I'm trying to get my people out of blame, point the finger outward, and hit that mirror like Michael Jackson, and do some self accountability.
And also, I noticed on Instagram briefly before I actually, I went live on this interview, but I also noticed in 2 days from now, on September 5th, you were actually dropping a brand new single titled Culture Vultures. Like,
Yeah.
towards DJ Vlad. I have to bring that up, man, because you know what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I gotta ask you, man, what made you decide to actually start, just to make that song? And of course, where can our listeners buy themselves a copy? Because personally, I already know I'm gonna purchase my copy in 2 days.
Yeah, that was from a recent comment, like in the states. I'm sure you've been hearing a recent drama going on with Nick Cannon and Deshaun Jackson and Steven Jackson, and a whole Ice Cube, regarding the comments and posts that they put up about certain people in the Jewish community that unfairly target us. Like, we can't say nothing critical or whatever of certain Jewish people, but they allow us to say nigga this and nigga that and bitch this and hoe this and all of that. You know what I'm saying? But as soon as we say one thing that we can actually show or prove, then we get hit with the anti-Semitic jacket. So Vlad, I did an interview with Vlad we talked about a lot of stuff, and he didn't go there, but then I saw recently on some interviews or whatever this year that he's probing and trying to lead different people from Godfrey the comedian to Lord Jamar to recently D.L. Hughley about misstatements about and actually slanderous accusations about Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. So, I don't know if you go on my IG, you can, because I went on a big rant on a post about that. To make a long story short, me and him had an inbox conversation, and instead of going public and explaining and apologizing for what he was explaining to me, he didn't want to do that. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna air you out then, because your community, he's Jewish, but I guess he don't claim to be Jewish. But I'm still telling him, he's like, your community don't give us no break. They don't give us no pass, no mercy. They stay on us, and even if we so-called apologize, they might not be satisfied with our apology. So I'm gonna have to make you the same kind of example and set a tone for how my community and my culture is supposed to deal with y'all. Then, so if he would have apologized and did like how they force us to do, then maybe we wouldn't have this problem. But I gotta hold him to the same fire that his people hold us to.
And I most definitely agree. And the one thing about Vlad, and I know I'm an interviewer and I don't want to disrespect another interview, but the one thing I do notice is he always focuses on the controversy side of things. And that's the one thing that personally I don't like. I want people to feel, happy to come on my station. I don't want them to be like, oh, God, here we go. We're going to talk about some more controversy. That's why tonight I didn't bring up the whole Ice Cube stuff, because it sounds bad. Every other interview does it. I want to talk about what you did, the positive stuff, man. I want people to remember you in 50 years and hear my interview and be like, damn, Cam worked with Snoop, LV. You know what I mean? Like this guy's done some damn work. That's what I want people to remember West Coast Cam for. You know?
Man, and I greatly appreciate your spirit and your energy and your line of questions, and like, cause you really are literally digging for positive information. So I salute you, and I got big respect for you for that, because we don't have to we don't have to fall into that false narrative that the people want to hear beef, they want to hear mess. We got enough of that. Let's give them something to balance that out with. There's a lot of junk food out there. Let's give them some vegetables or some meat and potatoes or something.
Exactly, and that's what I always tell people. A lot of people always ask me, like, yo, man, why don't you talk about this, or why don't you talk about that? And the reason why I'm saying this live here on the interview, because this is going to be on the replay as well, the reason why I don't do that is I leave that stuff for Vlad and other people. I want people to be able to come to Outlaw Radio and hear positive stories, man.
Right, man. Salute to you. And, the proof is in the pudding, man. The record speaks for itself, because you can go on dude's YouTube page or whatever is his page or his website, and you see it's full of drama and it's full of mess, and it's questions about gang banging and criminal activity and violence and all that against other artists and beef against other artists. So you can claim that's what the people want to hear, but you got a responsibility. Like I said, this is our culture. This is a black culture. You know what I'm saying? This art form, along with gospel and jazz and soul and R&B, that comes from the suffering of injustice of 400 years of slavery that have never been repaired. So for somebody of that specific race, to come in and be fanning flames of negativity and pain, then nah, I'm not with that. Especially when you speak against the most successful reformer of our people in the history of America, which is Minister Farrakhan, who brought over 2 million black males together in 1995 for strictly atonement and peace, not to be on no anti-white nothing. And that's all you got to say? Like, nah, we got to make an example out of Vlad.
I most definitely agree, but I gotta ask this, Cam. Like, what's next for you, man? Is there anything I happened to miss during this interview? Anything else that you still want to promote? We still have you here live worldwide on the radio station?
Yeah, I got like I said, my website. It's just being put together and built, but I have a few products on there. Because of this COVID-19, I personally have been a researcher and a scientist on a specific natural mineral, which is called silver, colloidal silver, ionic colloidal silver. I've been making that for my own family since about 2008, 2009. So I actually started to kind of like mass produce it. I can't promote it like, in the States you can't promote that as a cure for anything, but it definitely is a defense. The silver is the strongest natural antiviral known to science, but since it's not, since it's a element in nature, the FDA in America can't put a patent on it. But it works for my family for a variety of things. It's the strongest antiviral. They sell it in the shelves. A lot of people sell colloidal silver, but I make this, and if anybody knows me and they know my history of health and track record and honesty and integrity, then if you're gonna get it anywhere, get it from me. Order it from me. So that's on my website, along with my book, and along with a recent mixtape that I got called 2020 God Vision, and some other albums and some N95 respirator masks or whatever. So it's a variety of things that we putting up on the site. Also shirts like the single that I got called Legend in My Section with Corrupt and Chill. So we got Legend in My Section shirts that's custom made, your city, your state silhouette, and then your section or whatever on the front and back. So, we just getting our entrepreneurship on during this COVID, because 45 million, Americans are now unemployed. So this is something that, we should have been doing anyway. They don't teach us how to build our own careers in school. They teach us to be employees and get a job for somebody else. So in a lot of ways, this COVID is the best thing that happened to a lot of us, because it's forcing us to do for self.
And I I most definitely agree with that. I really do hope COVID does end soon, because it really is affecting everyone's economy, like throughout the entire world, man. Not just America, but in Canada, even in the UK. So I really do hope that things get back to normal soon. I really hope this mask wearing isn't permanent.
Right, right, right. And that's a controversial subject too, because there's so much contradicting reports and information from so-called Dr. Fauci versus what hundreds of other scientists and medical doctors are saying. So you gotta take it with a grain of salt and just stay healthy, boost your immune system up. Eat right, think right. And that's, like I said, that's what I practice doing. And one of the main things that I've been able to research and discover and experiment on my own self and my family is the power of colloidal silver. So what it does to viruses, all over 650 disease-causing viruses and pathogens and microbes and bacteria and whatnot. So do your research on that and check my website out, man. westcoastcam.com.
And Cam, right before we wrap things up, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM airwaves. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And also, if you can, drop them social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you if they're not already doing so. But you're West Coast Cam, so I really do hope that they're listening to my station, that they are truthfully following you.
Oh, man. Well, shit, I just everybody, like I said, be kind as possible under the circumstances to each other. It's a real tense time, and we're being intentionally manipulated to try to go at each other's throat. There's always been a race war, unfortunately, but hip-hop is a generation that's created and produced a generation that's not really going along with that. So, that's my religion, that's my way of life, that's my gang. That's the reason why we even having this conversation right now on some peace stuff, and you can understand me more than your parents or your grandparents ever could, what I'm saying, and vice versa. So that's my thing. Let's really, like you said, focus on the positive and the uniting aspects of hip-hop, the brotherhood and the sisterhood, and we can make money together, we still can party together and all of that. But, I'm not on the culture vulture Vlad type of stuff. So I respect my white brothers and sisters, my Asian brothers and sisters, my Latino brothers and sisters, and all that. As long as they on a positive page, let's stay positive and let's get paid and let's treat each other right. So that's what I'm on. And you can find me on all the social media, which is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all that is West Coast Cam, K-A-M, Cam with a K, West Coast Cam on all of those.
And I gotta say, Cam, thank you so much again for taking the time of your busy evening. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of yours, have been for a long time. So I just want to say personally, thank you for everything that you have done for the hip hop culture, man. You really did put in some massive work. Your catalog is huge throughout the years. So thank you so much for everything you've done, and most definitely, I think I can say this for everyone, and not only myself, but your music most definitely helped a lot of people through a lot of difficult times. So thank you so much for that, man, and just thank you so much for being a part of hip-hop, man.
Man, I appreciate it. I'm just trying to be immortal, like the DJ.
Hey, man, I'm going to be honest with you, Cam. I really do. And I'm going to be saying this, and I'm not trying to kiss your ass or anything. I'm going to be truthfully honest with you. I think with your catalog and everything you have done within hip-hop, you already are immortal, man. I really do think hundreds of years from now, people are, if there's still hip-hop fans out there in hundreds of years from now, which I hope there is, I know they're most definitely bumping West Coast Cam, bumping their lowriders down the road, man.
Well, they low hovercrafts because you should be on some next level technology by then. But yeah, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time, your energy, man, your respect, man. I'm gonna try to give it back to you tenfold.
Hey, most definitely, Cam. Thank you so much. Try and stay safe out there during this terrible pandemic, and I really hope down the road we can make this happen again.
Man, let's do it, man. Let's stay in touch, and once this record drop, the single. I'm going to reach back out for you. I have MJ reach back out for you, and let's do it again.
Most definitely. Sounds good to me. Thank you so much, Cam. We most definitely will talk soon.
All right, man. Peace.